Happy Saturday, Risers. We hope you're having a phenomenal weekend. Saagar and I are back with some of our favorite moments from the week. Host of Secular Talk, Kyle Kulinski, answered how he thinks progressives may be able to push the Biden administration further left on policy. Here's his advice.
That's a great question. Yeah. And the answer is act exactly like the Tea Party acted. Because I would argue that the Tea Party was successful in what they were doing.
Of course.
When the Tea Party came in, they were like, hey, listen, we hate John Boehner just as much as we hate Barack Obama. And we're beheading people and holding it up and showing it to everybody. Whereas what you see on the Democratic side and what you see among the squad, and I love them and I think they mean well, let me just be clear about that, but what they do is they're more than willing to, once they've gotten within the system, now everything they talk about is like, hey, why can't we unify? Hey, why can't you guys stop slamming us? Hey, how come, you're not giving us the respect that we give you? When really what I wanted them to do all along, and I'll include Bernie in this, I wanted them to go after Nancy Pelosi as aggressively as they go after Donald Trump and to use the only tool that you have, which is your giant followings.
Yeah, so not a good indication that they're going to follow that strategy, given that Pelosi was just easily reelected with no challenge. However, I will say verbally, I think the establishment kind of messed up by going so hard after AOC after these elections, because at least verbally and what she's saying on Twitter, she's been a lot more aggressive against the Democratic establishment than she had been in the past. So look, again, I'm not going to lie to you. The indications aren't that great that they're actually going to go super hard here. But I have sensed a sort of sharpened tone in at least some of the communications that are coming out, which is something.
We'll see. I mean, it could be barbed and it could maybe focus on primaries. The question is what's going to happen in legislation. That's the real key, right? Like, what are you going to fight on in terms of that? And that, very much an open question.
Economics professor Richard Wolff contrasted the health-centric approach that China took in response to COVID compared to America's economic-centric response or lack thereof. Let's take a listen to the differences.
The number one example is the People's Republic of China. This is a society that is economically growing this year. No other major economy can say that. We're shrinking, the British are shrinking, the Europeans are shrinking, et cetera, et cetera. They took extreme measures to lock down the areas that were experiencing this virus, and that has paid off in the economic realm. Whereas we here in the United States have this bizarre notion of the trade-off, as if taking care of the economy is a choice rather than taking care of the virus. What is happening to us now is that the virus is teaching us that was a terrible mistake, because if you don't deal with the virus properly, it's going to come back and undercut your economy. As to how it's doing that, I mean, it's literally countless. President Trump promised, Biden has done the same, bringing businesses back to the United States. No business, American or otherwise, is going to want to come to a country that is demonstrating its incapacity to cope with its public health demands, its public health conditions.
Yeah. What he's saying there is pretty provocative and controversial in a way. But but the truth of the matter is the countries that had the most aggressive lockdowns to start with and really tracked it and were able to do the contact tracing and get this thing not just under control but totally squashed, they're doing well right now.
Yeah, look,
we are not.
I'm not a fan of China, but I think they lied about a lot, and I think they lied about their death toll. But you can't deny that they're having concerts in Wuhan and people are going out to eat in Beijing. It just is. That is how the situation is. How did that happen? I mean, look, you can learn from your enemies and say, what exactly did you do right there? And I think, the professor is onto something. There are a lot of people in China that didn't lose their jobs. Now, look, the state controls all the jobs, so it's a little bit of a different situation.
It's a bit of a different deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a totally different deal. But look, there's no denying that they kicked it, and we need to understand how and why. I mean, I saw that there have been more people, 10 times more people killed in South Dakota from COVID than South Korea. Okay, in South Dakota, which has a population 1/30th or something of South Korea. So something happened. I'd love to learn why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, host of the Bad Faith podcast, Briahana Joy Gray, she explained how climate activists should proceed with Biden's new appointment of Cedric Richmond. This is what she had to say.
I never want to fail to stress that overwhelming majorities of Americans support climate reform and a Green New Deal. And this is someone who has said explicitly that he does not support a Green New Deal, that he doesn't think that we should be talking about policies that he doesn't think that we can pass. This is not the leadership that we bargained for. And now a lot of moderates are pushing back, saying it's inappropriate for a climate activist to be upset with this pick because Cedric Richmond happens to be Black. This is a person whose district is, as you mentioned, Krystal, one of the most polluted. I think 7 out of the 10 most polluted air tracks in America are in his district. And yet we're supposed to believe that the fact that he is himself African American takes precedence over the thousands or hundreds of thousands of African Americans who live in his district and are subjected to that kind of poor air quality and environmental horror.
Sunrise described this appointment as a betrayal. And, we had the representative from Sunrise on the show. Maybe like the day before or 2 days before this was announced, and she was very like, look, Biden ran on climate. We're hopeful he's gonna follow through. And I think that this shows you, as one of the very first picks that we learned, exactly how this is all gonna go. He feels absolutely no pressure or no need whatsoever to appease people like Sunrise, to appease the left of the party. And so he feels perfectly comfortable picking. I mean, just to be clear, this isn't somebody kind of in the middle in terms of oil and gas lobbying. He gets more money from oil, gas, and chemical companies than almost any other Democrats. He is number one in terms of being cozy with the fossil fuel industry. And his job, part of the description of his job is to be a liaison on climate change. So yeah, it is a slap in the face, but it's also super clarifying in case anyone had any doubt.
Yeah, I asked this to Briahana. I was like, look, Sunrise gave him an F- and he still won. So why should he care? And, until you can answer that question, somebody tell me
in
otherwise.
fairness, Briahana's been saying that for a long
she has.
time.
I actually should have asked that to the Sunrise lady. I'm like, why? I don't know why I should listen to you.
I think we did ask her that, to be honest with you.
Right.
That does it
we
for
do
us.
a lot of interviews here.
We forget exactly.
Yeah.
That does it for us. We're going to be back later today with the week that was in media screw-ups.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. And tomorrow we're going to be back for another round of #RisingHues, and we'll see you all then.
Have a good one, guys.